I raised my daughters alone for 20 years after their mom left. Now they say I'm not their real dad because her rich husband wants to adopt them. Hey, I'm Elias. I'm 54, and everything went a bit haywire a few years back. I spent nearly 3 decades working at the same manufacturing plant. Started from scratch and worked my way up to a middle management role. My wife, Leona, took off when our daughters, Amara and Callista, were pretty young. Amara was 10, and Callista was just 7. Turns out, Leona wasn't really into the whole quiet family life. After she left, her visits were unpredictable. Sometimes she'd show up all smiles and make big promises, and other times, we wouldn't hear from her for ages. When she did show up, it usually ended with the girls feeling let down because her promises didn't pan out. So, it was mostly just me raising them. I wasn't perfect, but I was there. I wanted them to have more opportunities than I did. I grew up in a working-class family, had the basics, but not much extra. I was determined my girls would have the extras. To make sure they had what they needed, I worked a lot. My main gig was at the plant, but I also picked up side jobs fixing things and consulting based on my experience. I was clocking in 60 to 70 hours a week sometimes, year after year. It allowed me to send them to a good private school, get them SAT tutors, and even cover college expenses. Amara spent a semester studying abroad in Spain, and when Callista needed help with her first car, I was there. We didn't live like we were rolling in money. Our house was small, and I drove the same beat-up truck for 15 years. My work jeans were more patches than denim every now and then. But the girls? They had what they needed to focus on school and enjoy a normal childhood. Things started to shift when they hit their early 20s. Leona decided to become more involved. She had remarried a guy named Sterling. He seemed pretty successful, had his own business, wore fancy suits, and drove a sleek car. Leona seemed different with him, more polished. Sterling started getting involved with Amara and Callista, got Amara an internship through his contacts, and helped Callista connect with a local agency too. Initially, I thought it was great, more people looking out for them. But soon, the girls seemed distant. Calls got shorter, and they were often busy with things involving Sterling and Leona. They started talking about Sterling's nice house and the people he knew, while my quieter life seemed dull in comparison. I had planned a camping trip, something we used to love, but they both bailed last minute because Sterling had other plans for them. It hurt, but I figured they were adults now. Then things got weird. Little comments about genetics and who they resembled started popping up. Apparently, Leona filled their heads with stories. Amara called me one evening, sounding unsure, asking if there was anything I hadn't told them about their mother or the time before the divorce. Turned out, Leona had told them she'd had an affair and believed someone else might be their biological father. It was a shock. Despite our problems, I never doubted they were mine. Sterling, according to Amara, was talking about adopting them for tax reasons and estate planning, making them a part of their new family. The girls started using terms like modern family structure and emotional closure about their heritage. Leona, during our marriage, had a nasty temper. If things didn't go her way, it could get explosive. I remember Amara was 5 when Leona promised to take her to a puppet show but ditched for a weekend trip instead. When I brought it up, Leona exploded, accusing me of holding her back. It scared Amara. That's Leona for you, all drama and broken promises. Her reappearance with Sterling felt like the same tune but with a twist. Instead of just disappearing, she seemed to be trying to take them with her in a way. Like the time when the girls were teens and she showed up hours late for back-to-school shopping, smelling of wine and with only half the money she promised. So, there was this moment when Callista quietly asked if they could still get those sneakers she really wanted, and Leona just lost it. She blew up, yelling about how ungrateful they were and how much she was sacrificing just to be there. She ended up throwing some cash on the kitchen table and stormed out, leaving them in tears. The next day, I took them shopping. This was kind of the usual cycle, big dramatic gestures, followed by chaos, and then disappointment. Sterling, her new guy, seemed to smooth out her rough edges, at least when they were in public, but there was still this sense of entitlement underneath. It was obvious that she was using his money to reel the girls in. Then came the big showdown a few weeks after Amara called. Both girls wanted to come over and chat. They sat on my old couch, you know, the one that's been through everything with us. Amara did most of the talking, while Callista was just staring at her hands. Amara repeated what their mom had told them, that Leona had affairs both times around when they were conceived and wasn't sure if I was their biological dad. She said Leona felt really guilty and wanted to make things right. That's when Callista jumped in, saying Sterling had explained everything and offered to adopt them to simplify inheritance. He apparently told them it was just a smart move for their future. Callista was like, "It's just for legal stuff, Dad. For taxes and all that." Amara nodded along, saying, "It's not personal, Dad." Then she said the gut punch line about how Sterling fits better with our lives now, and how their mom was happier with his help. At first, I didn't say much, just listened while my mind was spinning. After everything, all those years, all the sacrifices, it came down to this. Their mom, who barely raised them, had her new wealthy husband tell them I wasn't their father, and they just went along with it because it was convenient. I went over to an old filing cabinet, pulled out a folder from the divorce days, and laid it out in front of them. Legal paternity tests, right there in black and white. Both Amara and Callista were my biological daughters. Amara barely glanced at the paper, and Callista didn't even look. Amara said, "Mom said those tests might be outdated," and Callista mentioned Sterling offering to pay for new ones but questioned the point, saying, "It's about who steps up, right? He's stepping up for us now." The lack of interest in their eyes was the hardest part. It wasn't about the truth anymore, it was about what was convenient for them, what Leona and Sterling were spinning. They didn't even want to contest the papers. Minds made up, whether by them or for them by Leona and Sterling. Amara actually said, "Look, Dad, we appreciate everything you did when we were growing up, but we're adults now. We need to think about our future. Mom and Sterling are offering us a different kind of future." I just sat there, feeling empty, like a switch had been flipped off inside me. I quietly gathered the papers and put them back. No yelling or drama, what was the point? They'd already made their choice. So, the next day, I started making some moves. I cut off financial support, the allowance for Callista, and the rent help for Amara stopped. I took them off my health insurance because, yeah, they're adults now. Callista's car, which I co-signed for, well, I talked to the bank and revoked my signature. They'd have to figure that out, either refinance or have Sterling co-sign. I closed the small emergency savings accounts I'd set up for them and moved the money back to my own account. Then, I shot them both the same text message. It was straightforward and polite. "I have received your decision regarding your family and future. As you no longer consider me your father, I will no longer be providing for your adult lives. I wish you well." After that, I blocked their numbers for a bit, just to give myself some space. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And hit the notification bell to stay updated with more crazy real-life stories happening around you. Things got a bit weird for a while. It was all about needing some space. I never heard anything directly from them. I guess they were busy diving into their new lives with Sterling and Leona. Months rolled by, and eventually, I unblocked their numbers. But still, nothing, total radio silence. My life just became this cycle of going to work, coming home, and trying to get used to the quietness around me. It was tough because every corner of my house was filled with memories of them. But I kept trudging through each day. Then, slowly, the picture started to shift, not for me but for them. I started picking up bits and pieces from the grapevine. Turns out Sterling wasn't as rock solid as he seemed. His business took a nosedive after some deal fell through, and those fancy connections he kept bragging about? They didn't do anything for Amara's career after her internship, no full-time job rolled in. Callista wasn't doing much better. The agency Sterling hooked her up with lost its biggest client, and they kept cutting her hours back. As Sterling and Leona started pulling back, both with emotional support and, importantly for the girls, financial backing, things weren't looking as rosy as they had imagined. About 6 months after my last message to them, I started getting little feelers from them. Callista texted a simple "Hey, Dad. Just checking in. Hope you're okay." Amara left a voicemail, "Hi, Dad. It's me. Was just thinking about you. Call me sometime if you want." No apologies, just little nudges to see where I stood. I didn't respond. What was there to say after their decision to ditch me for what they thought was a better deal? A bunch of you have shared your thoughts, and it's been helpful to lay it all out. Some of you were curious about Leona and why the girls were so quick to listen to her. It's tricky. Leona is pretty good at persuading people, especially when she's all worked up. She's got this knack for twisting the truth and playing the victim. She's always felt entitled, thinking she deserved whatever she wanted, regardless of the consequences to others. Sterling, with his money and apparent success, must have seemed like the perfect shiny new thing, and the girls were just part of that picture-perfect new life. She probably cast me as some boring old chapter while Sterling was the exciting new story. A lot of you questioned if Sterling was intentionally malicious. I don't think he was a cartoon villain or anything, but he definitely enabled Leona. I think he saw an opportunity and took it. The adoption idea was likely spun as a generous move to care for Amara and Callista, without really considering the deeper implications. I doubt he realized how much I was doing or what it would cost him to take over. His suggestions about paternity and tax benefits were framed as logical and practical, tricking the girls into thinking they were upgrading their family. Before things went south with Sterling, the girls didn't show any signs of regret. Their first reach-outs were super casual, like nothing had happened. No apologies, just a breezy "Hey, Dad." That spoke volumes to me. Reflecting on your comments, I've realized some things. Many of you pointed out that I owe them nothing, while some suggested I at least hear them out for closure. I wasn't sure if I needed it, but then, a week ago, they showed up at my door unannounced. Amara's eyes were red, and Callista looked exhausted. Seeing them on my doorstep, I decided to listen. When Amara asked, "Dad, can we talk?" I paused, just taking them in. Amara looked down, and Callista was biting her lip. I said, "All right, come in. You have 10 minutes. They seemed surprised, maybe expecting a fight or for me to slam the door. I led them to the living room, the same room where they told me Sterling was a better fit. I stayed standing, and they awkwardly stood there too. Amara started, "Dad, we messed up really badly." Callista nodded, tears in her eyes. Wow, things got messy. Amara was practically falling over herself trying to explain, "Mom, she seemed so believable." And then there was Sterling, painting this picture of some epic new life waiting for us. She looked up at me, eyes filled with conflict. "Dad, I think I wanted to buy into it. I wanted to believe life could be simple and fun, a chance to hit the reset button and leave our current life behind." Callista chimed in, her voice all shaky. "I just wanted to feel like I was part of something big and successful." Sterling seemed like the real deal. Mom was over the moon. I figured maybe this was my shot at that dream. Tears started to slide down her cheeks, not a full-on sob fest, but enough to show she was hurting. We didn't really get what we were tossing away, not at the time. The conversation continued, mostly just excuses about how Leona had leaned on them hard and how Sterling made these promises that turned out to be all smoke and mirrors. Things with Leona and Sterling went south. Leona started making their lives miserable, accusing them of being ungrateful once Sterling's funds started running low. Sterling? He checked out, didn't care one bit about their struggles. That bright picture he painted? Turns out, it faded fast. I just sat there, listening, not jumping in with tissues or hugs. My face probably gave away nothing. When they finally ran out of words, looking my way, hoping for something, anything from me, I took a deep breath and laid it out. "So, let me get this straight. Your mom, who bailed on you all those years and never kept a promise, said I wasn't your dad. Her new hubby, a guy you barely knew, offered to adopt you just to cut his tax bill and play happy family. And you too, my bright, grown-up daughters, thought this was a stellar idea?" Their faces fell. "You wanted a fresh start, Amara? From what exactly? From the dad who busted his butt working crazy hours to give you everything? Callista, you wanted to be part of something successful? Was my life and what I did for you somehow not enough?" Callista really started crying now. "No, Dad. We didn't mean." I cut in sharply, still calm. "Oh? What did you mean when you ignored the truth in front of you? Amara, what did you mean by saying Sterling fit your lives better? You seemed pretty sure back then." Amara tried to plead, "Dad, please. We were wrong. We're really sorry. But I wasn't having it. Sorry isn't some magic word that fixes everything. You made a choice. You bought into their story, their version of reality, over the reality we built together. You stood in this very room and, without hesitation, cut me out of your lives. Now, you're back because your new world crumbled. Because Sterling's wallet ran dry and your mom's true colors are showing. You weren't here when you thought you hit the jackpot with Sterling. You're here now, hoping I'm still the safety net I once was." I looked at both of them. "Well, here's how it is. You're right. You threw away a lot, our bond, my trust, and any obligation I had as your dad when you decided I wasn't. When you walked out, you became Leona's daughters, Sterling's stepkids, not mine. So, that's it. Time's up. There's nothing for you here now, not my time, money, or help. Nothing." I pointed to the door. "Go back to them. You picked them. Live with it. Don't reach out again. We're done." Amara looked shattered. "Dad, you can't mean that. We're your daughters." "No, Amara," I said, "in the ways that matter, you're not. I have the papers that say you're mine, but you rejected that. You rejected me. So, no, not anymore." Callista just stood there, tears streaming, unable to say anything. And Amara? She opened her mouth but then seemed to see something in my eyes that stopped her. She took Callista's arm and they left. I watched them head off, get in a car I once helped pay for, and drive away. Closing the door, I didn't feel sad or mad anymore. Just calm, like after a storm clears. Yeah, it was harsh, but it was the truth. They burned that bridge, and I just confirmed it was gone. Whatever they do next, it's their path, not mine. Folks kept telling me to live my own life now, and they were right. Fast forward about a year, and life is definitely different. After that last blow up, I haven't heard a peep from Amaro or Callista. I guess my words hit home with them. Or maybe Leona and Sterling have them on a tighter leash, or they've figured out another way to handle their issues. Honestly, I don't know, and I haven't bothered to find out. Some people might think that's kinda harsh. But hey, I spent over 20 years putting them first. Every choice, every late night at work, every little compromise was for them. And when push came to shove, they opted to believe the worst, chasing a dream and ditching me because I didn't shine bright enough for their big plans. My dad energy for them dried up the day they showed me that paternity papers didn't mean a thing. What I told them in our last chat was just saying out loud what they'd already decided. My day-to-day is chill now. I head over to the plant for work, still rocking my old jeans. My place is still cozy and small. It's quiet here. No more drama, no more stress over their school fees, car payments, or emergency stash. No more worrying if they're alright, just to be met with silence or demands. I'm out of the loop on what's up with Leona and Sterling. They're in another city, and we don't cross paths. I figure Leona's still her old self, people like her don't change much. Sterling, well, he learned that bailing out Leona and trying to play Insta family isn't as easy as it seems. So that's it, really. No big dramatic ending. They're out of my life, and I'm moving forward with mine. I'm good. Big thanks to everyone who listened and shared their thoughts. Knowing I wasn't just yelling into the void really helped.